Since we're talking about finances right now, Neil's been corresponding quite a bit with myself and Baruchko. We are meeting Thursday morning, finance, to go over a couple different strategies and some healthcare issues and some of our contracts. Neil's concern is still the general fund. And just to be, I think it's best at some point if we all get ourselves together, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, but at our next board meeting perhaps, it would be nice to have Neil here and Baruchko, if Baruchko's available, and our county attorney, and go into executive session and talk about all these different things that are lingering out there and some options. And
I don't know if you can go into executive session.
well, it does have to do with the contracts.
Okay.
So it boils down to contracts and money and the direction we're going. And I think all you guys should be, in tune to that. And again, we're gonna meet, Thursday and try to come up with a couple different ideas, but
Joshua, is that a public meeting?
the executive session won't be, if we decide to do that, but it's a public meeting, it's a board meeting.
That's important.
And we don't even need to vote, but we're certainly gonna have, I can try to get that organized,
Thursday, we can.
talk about. Right. Again, I don't know if Baruchko's available for that particular Tuesday, which will be,
24th.
yes. But I'll try to coordinate that tomorrow, or Thursday. And he's intricate, we need him or we can't really do an executive session, we'd have to have him here. Let's take up the finance report, claims and accounts.
You don't have to do that because it's good.
No, yeah. Are there any public comments? Moving down. Kelly?
You guys know.
Good.
First, I just want to say, this is nothing personal. It's kind of learning on all our aspects here as we move forward. I've been doing some research. No, I just gave you is what I've been looking at as far as your guys' responsibilities as county commissioners. Very interesting. It does state in here that the primary legislative powers of the board is prosecuting and defending all actions for and against the county. There's one right at the bottom. I did FOIA Jacobson's pay, just out of curiosity. I did see it's a $700 or a $975 retainer every month. He's already made $150 extra off this case, and stands to make an undisclosed amount at this time. I'm working on getting the FOIA in for that after pre-trial. Now, with that being said, I'm still trying to figure out where the initiation of this lawsuit starts. Who authorized it?
This has been going on for quite a while, and there is litigation currently, so that restricts how much we really should talk about it. And each one of us commissioners has the obligation to talk as we choose to. The lawsuit, it's very clear, was initiated by the attorney and by the zoning administrator. So, and we appoint the planning commission.
Yes.
You've asked us that before, that, we've tried to explain that. Beyond some of these issues, have you ever went to the zoning board of appeals
No.
to appeal the decision that was made by the zoning administrator?
No.
And
I don't feel I should have to. I'm here in front of the power of the county. That's,
But we have a planning commission and a zoning board of appeals that's appointed to look at some of this stuff. And that's currently the way that we're organized.
they're not the decision makers, they're just there for reference
I don't know.
and opinion.
They bring them back to us, you know, if they have anything outstanding, and you're right, to some degree, but this board would end up stepping on their toes, and again, this issue hasn't, I don't know that this has ever came up before, this particular way, and we need to learn from this, but,
But, Rick, like I said, this is education on all parts, you know. Obviously, I've learned a lot. There's a lot, you know, in the county workings that I never understood.
I don't recall in the few years I've been here where we've had a decision made by the planning commission or the zoning board of appeals, and then we overrule them, or, I don't recall that ever happening. It may have, but I'm not, I don't.
well, you know, and to me, we have a zoning ordinance, and, you know, let's face it, you know, your particular case is mud bogs, that, you know, when do you have mud bogs? Not during the week, they're on weekends, holidays. It's a community thing, I agree. Does it really make or break the bank? Not really. But my point of this whole thing is it's complaint driven. And I know you say that there's only one complaint filed, maybe, and I would challenge that. You know, and I haven't FOIA'd everything myself. But let's face it, our zoning administrator don't work weekends or holidays, so he's not out driving around looking for this stuff, you know. So at the end of the day,
Well,
you know, I grew
told
up in
you-
a family of 5 and I'm the oldest. And I remember growing up, my parents, there was very little to no regulation. And then at one point, you know, there's a couple more kids involved and you have limits on how long you can take showers and how much food you can eat and what you can do. And that's because the population in our family grew. And it's a lot like this. When there's 15 people back in the 1800s, maybe we don't need so much regulation. 26,000 people now, maybe we need a little bit more. When it doubles and triples in the summer, we maybe need a little bit more. But at the end of the day, we all need to work together. We have to live together as families. And I appreciate the fact that you're coming back, you're doing the research, and we're certainly listening. All eyes and ears are open for me. It's a learning curve for everybody. I sympathize with you. But, you know, we need to get through this together somehow.
Right? You know, and you bring up the planning commission, you know, and I see a lot of power being turned over to the planning commission. And now the zoning board of appeals, you know, I mean, this is, we elect you guys to make the decisions on our behalf. Not to appoint others to do so. And that's how I feel. The power lies with this board. You know, as I mentioned the last time I was here in front of you, everything funnels through this board. And, you know, I mean, Commissioner Whittington, I appreciate the questions you asked the last time. You seem to be interested in it. I see your for property rights. I appreciate it. I appreciate the time y'all have taken to listen to me and to my leaseholders and everybody else on this. You know, it's a long road. But, you know, I've been told by the chairman that you guys don't have the power to do anything about this. You know?
If I may, well, I've still got a train of thought.
Okay.
We as a board, some things we can do and we can't do. The planning commission is just like a township planning commission, you know, they're looking ahead, trying to keep things going like they're supposed to. And I'm gonna use your case as an example, you know, you run into a snag with them, but I think, I just heard you mention you had not appealed it to the zoning board of appeals.
No, we haven't.
But if that, I guess that would be my next step, I would suggest. You may not like it, you know, I mean, you may, but we are like the last resort here. You know, I mean, seriously, we don't, we as commissioners don't have the time to oversee every committee that we have. That's quite obvious, there's all of us not like that. But I don't know if I'm making sense to you, but I would hope that, you know, that you would utilize the,
Well, it's kind of hard to, you know, even want to go somewhere else after the treatment I got with the planning commission. I mean, Josh said he's seen the video. I mean, I urge you, get a hold of Josh, Josh, get the video for you. You know, you guys appoint that board, and if you see what I seen, and it made you feel the way I feel about it, you wouldn't want nothing else to do with that.
you know.
I wanted to bring this to the commanders and chiefs.
Again, I don't think, I'm not trying to shuffle
Right,
blame on
right.
somebody. What I'm saying is, you have the planning commission, and you don't agree. The zoning board of appeals, I don't know how they may, I don't know what they might come up with. But for us to go in, I think, this is my own personal opinion, but for us to go in at this point and overrule the planning commission, I don't know that that's really their job. Maybe it is.
Well, I just give you a packet on your roll, you know?
And
And everywhere I
appreciate that
research,
This is a good,
you know, every bit of research points me right back here. Road
It
leads
ultimately
right
does,
back here.
but we distribute those and organize the
And that's my
committees.
point.
And so for us to sit here and, we can micromanage it and we should. We've seen some issues. At least, I'll speak for myself, I saw some issues, the way this is being handled now that I don't love. But you coming here and talking to us and us talking to you, I think is good. We can review those as we move on. It's pretty tough. I mean, I talked with Jacobson the other day. I know that there's a letter sent to your guys' attorney. Once again, there's, you know, we're still trying to work with you. It's not like we're not trying to work with you through your attorney or anything, you
All right,
know.
well, at the same time, the longer this goes on, the more money it's costing us as taxpayers, and the more money it's costing me and my family.
Mhm.
Because just as much money, actually probably more money than what the county's spending is coming out of my pocket on mine. You know, and I'm not gonna quit. I'm not gonna quit. I'll sell off everything I got to fight this.
once, I don't blame you there, I mean.
Right.
that's-
You know, my family's being put in an awful predicament over this. And the county is being put in an awful predicament over this, you know? And, you know, you challenged the fact on the complaints, I urge you to go over there and look. I'm sure the file's probably still sitting on the filing cabinet right where I found it. You know, easy access.
Well, I
It
know-
seems to be a pretty
Well, I know there was
used
plenty,
file.
there was plenty of complaints coming through here, and that was mentioned in some of the meeting minutes, the committee meeting minutes that were voided before. And that's the only way, I mean, I couldn't even remember back to 2010.
Right.
You know what I mean, until I was reading those minutes, but, you know, at the end of the day, you know, this is a learning curve.
Right.
It's not perfect by any means, but, you
You
know,
know, and my point is this is a group of 5, okay? Anyone can make a motion, take a vote to settle it and be done. I mean, I can't wait to see this letter, I really can't. Because that would be the first, you know, we get anything towards that from Jacobson. So I look forward to seeing that, but, you know, I just strongly wish, you know, as I said, you're our commanders and chiefs. You're the bottom line, not a last resort. You're not. This board is what runs the whole county. And if micromanaging is what it takes, that's what's got to be done. You know, I've been down all the avenues, you know, thus far. I don't like the road that's there. obviously, you know, and it's not for a decision that they had made or anything like that, it was the actions. Okay, I wanna make that clear. The actions that we got from some of the commissioners that you guys appointed on that planning commission, very rude. As I said last meeting, I'm glad you guys aren't wearing your hats and disrespecting our room here. You guys aren't yelling at the public, and I appreciate that. I mean, in the last few times I've been here, we've gotten farther than we ever would have gotten with the planning commission. But all I'm looking for is for the true power of the county to say something, do something, make a motion. This can all be settled right here. We've submitted a memorandum, you've read it, I'm sure. I don't know if the rest of you guys have read it or if it just got forwarded right over to Jacobson or whatnot. But, you know, obviously it was denied. Because here I still said, you know, I believe
But you
in.
took, not to interrupt, but did you take that memorandum to the planning commission?
Yeah.
And that was the meeting that kind of.
Actually, I believe the memorandum, actually, I did. Think about it. Yeah, we had the memorandum on it there. And it wasn't 2-3 days later, we got our denial.
So you got an official denial from the planning commission
Yes.
after you.
Yeah. You know, and see, that right there tells me that you guys aren't in touch with what's going on. And that concerns me. That really does. That's one of my big concerns, is there's stuff going on in the county that this board is having. And like I showed you right there, you guys are responsible for all prosecution, all defense in the county name. The county name's who's suing my wife. They threw me off the standing. They been married for 10 years, been there 12.
You know,
But,
the problem, and I don't only obviously speak for myself, the only problem that I see here is if we did as you suggested, just take a vote and say yes, no, what have you, the repercussions, I think, would come back to bite us in the butt. I mean, if we overrule, if you will, the planning commission or the zoning board of appeals, I'm not sure that is our job.
I believe it is. I do. All the research I've been doing, it all points here. The zoning administrator works for you guys. The planning commission works for you guys. The zoning board of appeals works for you guys. You know, you guys not long ago had a vote not to pay the judge's secretary because he didn't follow proper channels. Am I right? Now, this is kind of the same thing. Proper channels is, this should have been brought in front of this board before this litigation even started. And when we first come here, we heard that you guys knew very little about this, okay? That being said, is saying that the proper channels aren't being followed. You guys should have known every bit of this before it even initiated, before it even started, okay? You know, and you guys are asking for more money, and this is getting hard, watching money go right down the toilet in this, and then you guys want more. I'm sorry, I can't support that. I can't, just to put that out on the table. That you guys control everything. And if you took a vote to overrule the planning commission, you're doing your job. Okay? I'm not asking for everybody to say, yeah, let's settle this, or on the vote. It's your opinion. That's what you're here for. I'm not here to tell you how to vote. I'm not, you know, I can weigh in on my opinion. My opinion is this should have started as a vote before it even got started. The county attorney works and is paid for by this board. Anybody disagree with that? So for him to take up a lawsuit in the county name that this board is responsible for it without this board knowing. Now, I own a business, and I know that if one of my employees went and, you know, filed a lawsuit and in my business name, I'm responsible for that. You guys are responsible for this. Whether it's a vote to settle it and nobody agrees with it, that's fine. All I'm asking is for the vote so that we know where every one of you stand. We can see the county working in the form it should, under the laws that our government's given us, under the Constitution of Michigan. And I've been researching this since this started, you know, and I nonstop researching. I love it. This is great, you know, we're educating each other. But we have, you're all telling me, go to the planning commission, we have a path you need to follow. Well, the path we needed to follow with this lawsuit was, this should have been brought to the board. Okay, that's my big concern. We cannot have stuff like this going on without the board knowing. That's killing finances right there.
Well, one of the paths that's missing is going to the zoning board of appeals too.
That's,
The way we're currently structured and, you know, how that was missed and how nobody mentioned that to you, I don't know. But, you know, typically if
it's been
somebody's,
mentioned, but
you
I
know,
don't-
somebody's denied for whatever reason by the planning commission, then typically they have to go to the zoning board of appeals and. they
which
try
is
to-
another appointed board by this board.
And those appointed boards are to try to keep the politics, so to speak, out of that. So it's not a Democrat or Republican, it's people in the community that live with you guys, that maybe your neighbors that sit on those boards. You know, and we just had openings, and I'm telling you, I don't know how many of you guys have been out to township meetings trying to find somebody to sit on those boards. It's hard to fill them. So the next time it comes up, you know, we'll let you know. And
I'm easy to get hold of. It's not like I'm doing anything else. In all honesty.
we'll certainly watch this. I mean, personally, I've been watching this really close. I've put a lot of time into this.
You know, the problem here, I think, everyone has their own input. If we bypass the planning commission and the zoning board and did this on our own, those two boards, there would be no need to even have them existing. It would be, everything would be coming directly to this board. And I with all due respect to you and the problem you're going through, I don't know what the answer is here. But without going through the entire process, I don't know that it would really be wise of us to vote yes, no, or otherwise, when we have these committees in place that's supposed to be doing the legwork for us. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it's, I don't know if we were to do that and overwrite what the planning commission has done. I think I know what the end result would be. We would be looking at a new planning commission.
And that, after the disrespect I seen at that planning commission, that would be a beautiful thing. It really would be. You know, you know, I kind of surprised to hear that coming from you, Commissioner Whittington, after our last meet, you saying on record that you were against county zoning right from the get. You know, and the planning commission and the zoning board of appeals and that whole chain all stems from the county zoning. So,
And you're correct, I did make that statement, I made it over a number of years.
right,
I've always been in favor of township zoning.
yes.
I thought that that's where it should originate, because what's good for one township doesn't necessarily mean it's good for
Exactly.
another township. but we're stuck with it.
You know, now if, in saying that, then if you were to override the planning commission, and as you say, there wouldn't be no use for them, no. Well, without county zoning, there's no use for them anyway.
There's a couple different avenues that we all need to think about, and that is the quote-unquote county zoning. Does county continue to be involved in this status quo, or does the townships take that back? Because we do have maybe less than a handful of townships-ish that do their own zoning currently, and
Now, see, and you also said the last meeting, Josh, was that the county implementing zoning in these townships is costing the county money.
well,
You know,
especially when
which
this
is-
kind of stuff comes up, it's, you know,
Right.
there's no way to break even, there's no way to forecast what may or may not happen, you know?
Well, there is ways to forecast it by looking at past court cases through various counties and states and stuff.
But there's no way to forecast what issues
Right.
may come up, you know, that's the problem. This time it's tied up a lot of resources and it's starting to tie up a little cash, and we've got just, you know, at this point,
And we're just getting started. We are. We're
we're
in,
just getting started, or hopefully we can come to an agreement here very shortly.
well, I look forward to seeing this letter. I really do. And I can sincerely hope that it ain't too far out of line. So, I appreciate your time.
May I ask, where are you at now, or where are we at now with the suit, if you will?
Okay, we go into court again on October 8th. It was postponed from the 8th of this month, or the 5th rather. Our attorney got called to federal court, so there was nothing he could do about it. So we'll be back in the 8th of October at, I believe, 9:15, for motion hearing, settlement hearing, and pre-trial. And, you know, pretty much that's the last hope of the county trying to save money right there. Because once it goes past pre-trial, Jacobson starts back in money. And if my mediator was right when he went in for the mediation, he was told by Jacobson that it was $75 an hour. I sure hope that that ain't correct for the county's sake, but if it is, so be it. I mean, that's why I'm here. I'm trying to save the county money. You know, Josh, you did ask for the memorandum, you know, and I know there's a couple points that you didn't like in it. But it was pretty much set up to where something we could all agree on. And I mean, after the action of the planning commission where it got turned, I mean, I don't think that was the right move, was to send it to the planning commission. I mean, power's here. You guys are the boss. You're the commanders in chief, and I'll keep coming here. You know, I mean, we'll keep educating each other and we'll keep moving forward. There's a lot more than just this case out there that's going on. You know, we all know this. You know, and like I said last time, everybody's coming to me with the problems on them. And if in fact that the county implementing zoning on certain townships is starting to cost the money, well, maybe the county needs to look at it from that point of view. You know, because without the county zoning, we don't have the planning commission. I don't know what they get paid, but same with the zoning board of appeals. I'm sure I could FOIA that and find out. You know, but it sounds like there'd be a great savings of money right there.
Well, that's no big secret, I can tell you right up front, I think they get $25 per deal.
Okay. You know, and even at that, you know, and I know they've had the motion and voted to only meet 3 months a year. I believe it was June, July, and August, unless the chair's discretion. You know,
Is there, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, it seems like each township pays us $3,500.
that's what
Yeah.
Gladwin Township pays.
Yeah, so I think we're all at $3,500, and
There was
then,
one township that was refused, just in case of, to participate.
It, sometimes it's penny wise, pound foolish. In other words, why not just take just solve the issue by paying for the cost of the special use permit and deal with it, see?
A lot of it's beliefs. Second of all, the money. You know, it's just like it's been brought up to me 100 times over. Why don't you just rent the fairgrounds? Rent the fairgrounds from us. It ain't the same. It ain't. Josh will tell you that. He's been to both. You know, it's not the same environment.
I know.
You know, it's, you know, and yes, I choose not to go that route. I will put that up. I choose not to go that route. You know, I don't feel I should have to pay money to use my land, you know?
I see.
You know, it's just,
And you got a Tom Petty attitude too. You ain't gonna back me. Stand me up to the gates of hell and you won't back down.
damn straight. But I do appreciate the time and the questions. I know you guys have a lot to do and a lot to think about. But I will say that, you know, this should have been voted on before the meeting took off.
None of your statements have fallen on deaf ears as far as I'm concerned, and we're all listening and, you
Yes,
know,
and I appreciate that.
there's not gonna be immediate relief of any way. I don't know how to make that happen by
Well,
myself,
I give you some good paperwork to start. Yeah, I did.
but
The first step is realizing your true power here is the board. Okay.
I know what our
That's what I
powers
want you
are,
to-
but then those powers get delegated,
And that's
when
where
you're
the
trying to
problem lies.
and we're agreeing on that.
So,
But that's the way we're currently structured, so we need to look at that, you know. But for us right now, to give you immediate relief, that's what I'm more concerned about and how that happens. We need to work together and make that happen, so. Is there anything else for Mr. Miller? John?
I'd like to make a comment.
okay,
Thanks.
thank you, board.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Just take up a couple of minutes, and I thank you, and for the record, just to clarify a couple of things. One, the doctrine of primary jurisdiction, the court of original jurisdiction is the agency, which is the county board of commissioners. And I will get you a copy of that doctrine so you can read what that has to say. Second of all, the ordinance indicates pretty clear that may is not shall. You may apply for a special permit or any kind of permit. It's not shall. So you have to look at that. And may is not shall. And that's in the ordinance. Number three is that Public Act 360, 1996, I believe it is, the Administrative Procedures Act, is part of what the county is required to do. And it's pretty clear that you have to have a finding of facts, of conclusions of law, and a final determination before it can go to appeal. None of those things have been done prior to the issuance of a lawsuit to the leaseholders and to Mrs. Kelly. So there's been a big step there that had been missing by the zoning board. I think you need to maybe pull that up and read that, get a little familiar with the Administrative Procedures Act. And as far as the structure, yes, I would agree that there is a communications gap between commissions and the board. And again, zoning is the death of property rights, and we've got to look at what property rights are. And if your neighbor can tell you that you've got to have this in your house or not that in your house, or you can do this, or you can't have this party, or how many people can come, or how many cars you can have, or whether you can park on a public road. And to clarify that, another point was that the information The memorandum, I believe, was presented to the zoning board for information, but there's never been anything from the zoning board itself, the commission, all right, back to us because we haven't applied. We didn't want to apply. There has been a stipend order submitted to the county attorney to have this dismissed along with the memorandum of understanding of things to happen. And that is a kind of a nutshell of where this stands. And I believe I can talk for the Millers as well as myself as a leaseholder on that property, is that anything short of a reasonable solution based on the injunctive relief that the county is looking for is absolutely against all of our mindsets as far as property rights. And I really would hope that this board would take a look at that and come up with a motion and a resolution on what to do with it, and it has the power to do that under the doctrine of primary jurisdiction, the court of original jurisdiction. It's right here, gentlemen. And I thank you, unless you have some questions.
Well, some of what you've said, I agree, although, you know, I really question what Gladwin Township's thought is on this whole thing. I mean, we're enforcing this for them, the way I see it. They're paying us to do a job. How do you feel we're doing at the end of the day? So I want to have a conversation with them on that, because that's another gap that I have in my brain, trying to fill all these holes.
Well, and when I looked at some of the Gladwin Township minutes, I would have a question as to whether, other than the payment, the Township of Gladwin has ever approved via vote a continuation and payments to the county for zoning. There's a question there. The way it was written, you know, maybe an attorney can say that yes, because they're paying it, they've acquiesced. But I think that in some cases the opposite side of that coin would be is that the township board should have made a resolution and voted on a continuation of the contract.
Like
But,
each year or something?
Pardon?
Like each year, instead of just an automatic continuation?
well, there was only one vote ever taken, and there was never a continuation. I don't believe there's ever been an authorization by the board, if I looked at their FOIAs, to even pay the county for zoning. So, you know, there's questions there, and I think you should discuss this with the township and see where they're at. They have an attorney as well, so, you know, maybe that attorney can come up with an answer and at least give you the opportunity and the township to review whether they have really authorized the continuation of zoning. And it's a big question.
Okay. I'm on it.
Good. Any other questions?
No, I just appreciate the information.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys. Anybody else? Public comments? Come on, Larry Miller, you don't want to talk?
I'm just here to say hi.
All right. Moving on. We didn't have anybody on the agenda today. Commissioner Walters.
29th, mental health, Reed City, what a lengthy day. We started at 5 and we got out at 9. The interesting day with finance and September 3rd, city meeting. Very interesting information. I have a vets meeting today. Also missing out on the Farm Bureau dinner tonight, because I have 2 other meetings, and township meetings coming up.
Attended
Commissioner Burgle?
Newton Township, dropped off Township, New York City, Central Michigan Health Department, Board, Region 7B. We are now 76th in the state in unemployment, 13.5% latest numbers. So it's not looking too good.
It's not too bad though, because that's half as much as what it was 4 years ago. Yes.
Everything's relative, isn't it?
Yeah. Not good, but yet better.
But there is positive news in Beaverton Township with the East Jordan Plastics is getting ready to add another line, which is job creating. And that's helpful. We attended the retirement dinner program for Mary Cushion at the Central Michigan District as well. And their last day is next week, so things going there. The Fair Board is the other one. The Fair Board is essentially broke. The net after this year's fair was like $5,000. So that's about all the money you get in the bank. And that is a trend that's been going on now for 10, 12 years or more, where the gross receipts from the fair have diminished as well as the net. And it's reached a point now where unless there's some change in the structure and or cost and operating costs, et cetera, they've got serious problems. And I just want to alert the board to that. And I'm not certain what action can be taken or what we have the authority to do, but that's
So
where it's at.
the fair, they're done making money for the summer. They're all done with all their programs. And then the only other income they possibly have is storing their boats and campers and stuff, which that's like a few $1,000 a year.
Yeah, it's not, but John Blades and Sherry Beck are still working on the different kinds of events that they are putting on, everything from the drag races, the mud box, the demolition derbies and things like that. They're constantly trying to create activity to use the fair property. And it's, but it is a serious circumstance. There's no light in the tunnel at this point. So, but that's it.
Commissioner Whittington.
Well, if they've got $5,000, we can borrow that.
Nice.
Oh.
Actually, $5,495 is what it is.
Well, but not choosing. I really don't have much to report. I missed the Billings and Bentley meeting last night. I had a very, very important meeting in Midland. My birthday party, I collected all my gifts. But, like I said, I'm gonna pay dearly for it the rest of this week. I got EDC airport, 2 township meetings, and I don't know what all. But anyway, getting on to the finance, or lack thereof. The financial coordinator presented the financial reports through August 31st, 2013. The county has a current deficit of $1,437,185.20. August financial reports have been placed on the county's website. And finance matters, number 1 is Gina Conrad, Gypsy Moth, is requested to attend the Michigan Camp Conference at Boyd Mountain. Membership costs are $25, and she plans to share the lodging and bill. It will be billed to us from the county that makes the reservation. A motion is needed to allow the clerk to pay for the registration, lodging reimbursement, and mileage payment as they are submitted. And I will make that motion.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Number two, Bill Mason, Equalization Director, is requested to attend the MAA conference in Traverse City. Registration cost is $150. Lodging for 3 nights at $45 and mileage reimbursement. A motion is needed to allow the clerk to make the reservation and pay for the reimbursement upon submission. And I would make that motion.
Support.
And it's been moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. And I would mention, I think a finance board, and they mentioned that the reservation request sheet or whatever was filled out properly and was easy for you to
Mm-hmm.
handle, right?
Yep.
Number three, the financial coordinators made the below recommendations to amend the 2013 general fund budget. Budget amendment number 1, 101-000-402-000, current property taxes, debit $285,113, with a cumulative effect of $182,336. Budget amendment number 2, current estimate for 2013 retirees' health care, 101-852-720-006. Retirees' premium is $27,000 with a cumulative effect of $209,336. And the last budget amendment, number 3, 101-965-998-282, child care probate, $15,000 with a cumulative effect of $224,336.
And there was some disagreement as to that number period. Did you see that one email?
We've got that.
Yes.
Is that straightened out?
Yeah, they were looking at it 2 different ways, but Neil's way is sufficient.
And I would move on the budget amendment.
It's moved, supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. I'll go back to that, because I wanted to talk just a little bit. Well, I'll wait for you to finish your report.
I'm all, but that's it.
That's it? Okay. Let's talk about the child care fund real briefly. Neil's concerned that with this amendment that we just did today, that corrects any concern that we had before. Okay? But Neil's concern is that, you know, our general fund continues to shrink, and yet the child care costs, although they did in defense of the court, they did go down, but they're going right back up. So when we budgeted roughly $100,000, and I want to just use general numbers, there was a budget request for $150,000. We're saying we can't afford it, so we give them $100,000 for child care. Then they're like, hey, we wanted more, we need more. And so then our board appropriated some more funds, you know, along the line here. But at the end of the day, they're wanting another $75,000 on top of what we've already just given them that we just don't have. And Neil's saying that his comfort zone is like $5,000, which is significantly less than what they have. And my question is, and I don't want to beat up on anybody, I just want to know the honest to goodness what our obligation here is. We all, as adults and people, community leaders and constituents and everybody, care about our kids and we want them treated properly. But should they be treated out of town or in town, you know? And I don't want to beat up on the judge or nothing. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with we're running out of money, folks, so let's sit down at the same table once again and try to sort through this.
Majority of that's foster care though.
There's foster care and there's institutional care and there's just so many things out there. And by the way, the state of Michigan don't make it easy on us counties because they tell us for the most part that we need to do it, and that's what we keep, the feedback from them if you read the lengthy emails here. But we just don't have that kind of money. And, you know, all these outside state agencies keep dinging us for, you know, $20,000 to $75,000 here and there. That does not help our financial matters whatsoever. So we need to kind of work together. I'm trying to work through Mac, Tim McGuire, our contact, and he's fantastic, by the way. The fact that we have them to reach out to is really nice. He does promise to come up here and give us an overview as to some of the different issues Mac has, but I'm looking into that. I don't know what our obligations or options are at this point, but it is a bit scary when they need another 70,000 and, you know, we continue to burrow a hole. And, you know, right now, currently we're unable to even borrow money if we needed to get us through. So it's, all of this is a bit stressful and challenging for all of us, so. That's what I had to say about child care funds, and just to make it very clear, and I speak for myself, but I know I'm speaking for the entire board here, we care about our kids, we just need to figure out a more efficient way to do this, and I don't know what that answer is yet. Tobacco Township, I attended their meeting last night, and long, I mean, I think it was 45 minutes, usually that can be a 15 to 20 minute meeting, but they have an opportunity, and I forwarded this email to you, there is a subdivision that could be tapped into from Pope Township to distribute some of their water through that subdivision. Bill Clark, trying to dot all his I's and cross his T's, is just, he talked with his attorney. His attorney feels that they should have a letter from our board just saying that, yeah, we don't have an issue if you guys pursue this. And I don't see that there is one. Some of the comments and concerns down there was, you know, if it costs X amount of dollars for each person, there was a petition from these people. They know they'll have to pay that portion of it, whether it's a bond or whatever, but then do they have to tap in? No, they don't have to tap in. There's an additional tap fee. But nevertheless, water's, I guess, weak down there, bad, deep wells, and or they have to use those groundwater wells, so this would be beneficial to them. So if this board, I would entertain a motion, I guess, that we send them a letter that, you know, we don't see an issue with it, and I'll throw it on the letterhead, and, you know.
I'll second that motion with a comment if I may.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I hope there's no repercussions to this. And you hit up on one good thing when you was talking about tap-in services.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just gonna use Billings as there's no sewage, sewer system as opposed to water. But I don't know how many court cases we've had up here over people not tapping yet. And their zoning ordinance says that they have to tap that. And people, some of them just do not have that kind of money, you know, the money that it costs to tap into. So they end up in court, and I'm just throwing this out there.
That's a good point.
I don't know, I guess what I really wonder is why do they need our,
They may at some point have to use, which by the way, we can't bond anything right now until we fix our treasury issue, which we're on that, but.
for the bonding?
Right, but they may need to utilize us for the bonding. What I can do is I'll get a rough draft of this letter and then I'll send it over to Doug and let him know your concerns,
Well,
so we can kind of cover that.
yeah, I think it'd be worth looking
Yeah. But do you want me to send it out, or do you guys want to review it before we send it out?
at. No, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I don't need to do it.
All right, but I can forward it to you guys once he gets done with it. How's that? All right, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. What else did I have on here?
We'll go back to, right now because of our status, we can't get any funds. Can you explain that a little bit?
Well, there was a deficit elimination plan that needed to be filed by the Drain Commission in a certain amount of time, and that didn't happen in a certain amount of time. And I promise you that Christy and Laura were both calling me, and we was dealing with Neil, trying to get that done. But at the end of the day, the financial coordinator can't plug in numbers when you don't know what the Drain Commissioner wants. And I'm not gonna beat up on the Drain Commissioner, especially since he's not here. But because that total plan was not submitted in a timely fashion in the eyes of the state of Michigan, they want to give us Saturday school. So we have Saturday school for a while till we get that fixed. It can be fixed, and Neil is on trying to fix that. Christie's called down, she has one more contact to try to talk to at the Treasury, State Treasury. You know, we worked pretty hard, we've made significant cuts, we've paid off our stuff to get our bonding rating, which our credit score, county credit score up, so if people needed to bond money, they could borrow it at a lesser rate, and then this happens, and it just seems like a little kick in the butt, but we're gonna try to fix that very shortly, in the short term, so that's where we're at. And the other thing that I had was, I think, did you have a sports complex meeting last night? It's tonight. All right. I talked with Joe Myers. There's this little bit of a snafu with the contents of the sports complex, and some of those contents were purchased with grant monies. And then talking with MMRMA, our rep, the other thing is, you know, technically, depending on how you read our agreement with them, the sports complex board is running that for us. So the argument is it's our equipment, our stuff there anyways. But at the end of the day, I just needed a number out of Mr. Myers, and he's getting me a number what he thinks those contents are, of the contents that's the county's, not personal contents or Joseph and Mary's, you know, gear that may be down there, but county contents. And MMRMA will rewrite that insurance, and it'll just be covered under the umbrella, so.
Are those contents or equipment titled in the county's name?
None of them need to be. We just need a number, like 60,000, 30, 40, it's pretty open. So you tell me how many refrigerators and whatever and how much they are. They don't even need a count at all, nothing. So it's a bit open, and then beyond that, there's some more umbrella coverage for storms and fires and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, we know it's important that we have the structures insured, and that they've always been insured. But some of those contents haven't been up until this point, but it wasn't until I was at one of their meetings that there was some conversation about, oh, you're not covering the contents? Well, that's kind of the way it works, in my mind.
Is there going to be an agreement drafted in respect to that?
The MMRMA is, yes.
No. Is
For
there
the
going to be
county?
an agreement between the county and the sportsman's club, or, I'm sorry,
Sports complex.
sports complex, don't get me started on the sportsman's club, the sports complex on who's responsible for deductible, who's responsible for claims, who's responsible, because quite frankly, we're running the same problem with them as we are with the sportsman's club. Leadership was not even allowed to be in that building this Friday without a whole punch list of stuff. They're a county business, we own that building, and they would not let them in there until I provided them with a stack of paperwork. It's getting ridiculous. If we are in ownership of these properties,
I
are we
will,
leasing them out to these people, and these people are not being,
as I recall, and Terry, you was obviously here, I think we leased that to them for 50 years for $1 or something.
I don't remember the number.
when you lease to somebody, it's no different than being a renter in an apartment.
Exactly.
You cover your own content insurance.
So-
If you don't have content insurance, if there's a fire, if there's something, you lose it. It's a responsible step as a leaseor,
I'm
leasee.
gonna look at our lease agreement that we have in the drawer back here, and then I'll get with Doug and pick his brain about it.
I'll just tell you, the insurance, county insurance is tied back to our fixed assets.
Mhm.
So if we don't have those fixed assets in our name, under our fixed assets program, and they go to tie our insurance policy back to our fixed assets, I'm just telling you, they need to either be on the fixed assets system as our assets, or they need to act like a responsible renter and get their own coverage.
Right.
I don't know why we keep paying for this, and if it's under our coverage, who's paying the deductible if there's a claim?
The county.
I don't mean to
Right.
continuously nitpick, but these outside entities that are making money on our property, and then they are bold enough to come back and say, guess what, you need to give us more. I'm kind of sick of it.
That's not a nitpick, right?
It's a huge nitpick, but I've said it before, and it
You're
doesn't
serious.
matter, so.
Laura, you're right, on target on that, and that needs to be defined explicitly.
Before you go signing them on and paying for all of their content coverage, there needs to be some type of agreement. That's
I
only
was
my
appointed
opinion.
to that sports complex board when it first started. I was on it for 2 years and never had a meeting, so I got all of it. I don't know how they transport it, so I really, I don't know what.
I
I just,
understand that there needs to be coverage on the contents, I absolutely understand that, there needs to
We
be
need a
an
list.
agreement on how that's handled, and if we are going to pay for that, it needs to tie back into our fixed assets somehow, otherwise you guys can deal with the auditors on that. I am not going
thank you for telling me what you are and aren't gonna do. That just makes my life so much
to.
easier.
At least you know, it's on the record, right?
I'll take care of it. I'm on it. Along with this other letter and a few other things, Gladwin Township. What else?
Got that canvassers.
Oh, yeah, canvassers, Laura.
All right, I've given you a list of the 3 individuals that were offered by each of the parties. And Judy Ford is the current Republican canvasser that is, has been nominated, and Bob Wilton is the current Democratic individual. They both do really nice jobs. They're very competent, very thorough in each election that I have them deal with. We can't do a secret ballot, that's prohibited by statute. So when I call your name, we're gonna start with the Republicans. If you'll name which one of those 3 you are voting for, I will note that, and then we'll go to the
Why do you have to
Democrats.
start with the Republicans?
That's the best way, Josh.
There you go.
I mean, I don't even remember what I am, so. Oh, you mean these people, I get it.
T before R, right?
Walters for the Republican, which one?
Darlene County.
Reed? For Republican.
Judith Ford.
Winnington for Republican.
Republican Judith Ford.
And Burkle.
Judy Ford.
On the Democrats, Commissioner Reed, we will start with you.
Bob Wilton.
Winnington,
Marty Miller.
Burkle,
Bob Wilton.
and Walters. All right, thank you.
All right. Is there anything else from, what else do we have? So Neil was just texting me that he might not be able to make Thursday morning's meeting, but we'll have to sort through that. I'll let you know. I just reposted it too, so that means another trip to the courthouse if we have to change it.
So you still up for
Yeah, let's do it, and then maybe Neil and Barusco can get their heads together before that. Okay, is there anything else for you people? Mr. Sheriff?
I had a comprehensive meeting with Bill Brushko based on the board's advice the last time. I don't know if he's communicated back to the board yet, but he wants to recommend what's on that sheet. There's a few things to work through with the board, but one of the things that to work through is being synonymous with what happened with the animal control officer, keeping that very similarly. I know the board was concerned with some of those similarities as far as time was concerned, up to a certain amount, but the Ron Taylor talked to. In any event, Ron Taylor said that he actually utilized 7 months. He was granted up to 9, but he actually utilized 7, according to Ron. So if the board chooses to proceed with that, I can notify my employee to work with the board to do just the same thing that you did with animal control. But Bill Barashko, if you want to consult with him directly, he was the one that told me at the end of the meeting that we're looking at about $160,000 essentially in county savings.
He talked to me yesterday and he said that he didn't see any issues with it. The only structural thing that we talked about was letting the 911 board know. And I know they're just a board, but running that by them before we actually vote on that.
Yeah.
When's your next meeting, 911 meeting?
It's not till the very end of this, of September. And they are a policy
Right.
board more so than personnel. The hiring and firing comes through me. And one thing I know that the board was concerned with was a retirement issue. The retirements for any individual that will be doing these jobs are identical. So there's nothing there. In fact, we went through all this with Bill. He can fill you in your own labor consultants there. No hidden rabbits in the hat or anything like that. basically just dollars and cents issue. So if the board so chooses, if you want to work with the employer, have the board work with the employee, consult with you as to what it is, if you want to be synonymous with that, I think she was,
The last time this happened, I think we just got a written proposal from them.
okay,
If you have her do that, then we'll have Baruchko review it with us,
Okay.
and then we'll get the ball rolling.
okay? That
I
makes
think,
sense.
fair enough, guys?
Thank you.
I'm sorry,
I just said, I think the last time this happened, we got a written proposal from the employee to finance, what their requests were.
oh,
And if he got that from her, then we can have Bill review it again, and Bill did review it, and is comfortable with it, he thinks, but I think we need something in writing from him. Okay. Anything else? Motions in order to receive and file.
Make that motion.
support.
It's been moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Motion adjourned.
I'll support that. It's been moved and supported, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you all.
I think I was.